If it is your first time, big welcome. Plus remember please to click on the subscription button and the bell so you don't miss any future videos and announcements. We had a few questions regarding the Royal Mint and asking some questions. Can you share some pointers and some history about the Royal Mint? So today's video is about an overview of the Royal Mint. It's a government owned mint that produces coins for the UK, and it's hard to believe but it operates under the Royal Mint Limited. It is a limited company that is wholly owned by Her Majesty's Treasury. The mint exports to an average of 60 countries a year, making up about 70% of its total sales, and it's not widely known. It was formed over 1,100 years ago, so it's got a lot of history to it. The mint was historically part of a series of mints that became centralised to produce coins for the Kingdom of England, all of Great Britain, and eventually most of the British Empire. The originally London Mint, from which the Royal Mint is the successor, was established in 886 AD, and that operated within the Tower of London for approximately 800 years, before moving to what is now called Royal Mint Court, where it remained there until the 1960s. And as Britain followed the rest of the world in decimising its currency, the mint moved from London to a new 38-acre site even in Wales, where it has remained until its present day. In 2009, after recommendations for the mint to be privatised, the Royal Mint ceased being an executive government agency and became a state-owned company, wholly owned by HM Treasury. Since then, the mint has expanded its business interests by reviving its bullion trade and developing a £9 million visitor centre, worth having a day there. After the Romans began their invasion of Great Britain in 43 AD, they set up the mints across the land, including London, which produced Roman coins for some 40 years before closing. Then a mint in London reopened briefly in 383 AD until closing swiftly as Roman rule in Britain came to an end. And then for the next 200 years, no coins appear to have been minted in Britain until the emergence of the English kingdoms in 650 AD, when as many as 30 mints are recorded across Britain, which one being established in London, control of Britain mints alternated as different tribes battled over territory. And then in 886 AD, Alfred the Great recaptured London from Danelaw and began issuing silver pennies bearing his portrait. This is regarded as the start of the continuous history of the Royal Mint. In 1279, the country's numerous mints were unified under a single system, whereby control was centralised to the mint within the Tower of London. Mints outside of London were reduced. In 1630, sometime before the outbreak of the English Civil War, England signed a treaty with Spain, which ensured a steady supply of silver bullion to the Tower Mint. The Royal Mint, not wanting to divert manpower away from minting more profitable gold and silver coins, hired outside agent Lord Harrington, who under licence started issuing copper farthings in 1613. Private licences to mint these coins were revoked in 1644, which led traders to resume minting their own supplementary tokens. And then in 1672, the Royal Mint finally took over the production of copper coinage. Then, after the Glorious Revolution of 1688, when James II was ousted from power, Parliament took over control of the mint from the Crown, which had until then allowed the mint to act as an independent body, producing coins on behalf of the government. As Britain's empire continued to expand, so did the need to supply its coinage. This, along with the need for new mint machinery and cramped conditions within the Tower of London, led to plans for the mint to move to nearby East Smithfield. Construction started in 1805 on the new purpose-built mint on Tower Hill, opposite the Tower of London, and it was completed by 1809. 3 years later, the move became official. The keys of the old mint were ceremoniously delivered to the Constable of the Tower, and after allocating its new home on the Tower Hill, the mint became under increased scrutiny of how it dealt with unrefined gold that had entered the country. The Master of the Mint had been responsible for overseeing the practice since the British interception in the 1300s. However, the refinery process proved too costly and suffered from a lack of accountability from the Master. A Royal Commission was set up in 1848 to address these issues, and it recommended that the refinery process be outsourced to an external agency, thereby removing the refining process from the Mint's responsibilities. The opportunity to oversee the Mint's refinery was taken up by Anthony de Rothschild, a descendant of the Rothschild family and heir to the multinational investment banking company N.M. Rothschild & Sons. Rothschild secured a lease from the government until January 1852, purchasing equipment and premises adjacent to the Royal Mint and 19 Royal Mint Street under the name of Royal Mint Refinery. In Canada, which had been under British rule since 1763 now, the British coins circulated alongside those of the nations until 1858, when London started producing coins from the newly established Canadian dollar. As Canada developed, in 1890, calls were made for a mint to be built in Ottawa to facilitate the country's gold mines. The new mint was opened on January 2nd, 1908 by Lord Grey, producing coins for the circulation including Ottawa Mint sovereigns, and then in 1931 under the State of Westminster. The mint came under the control of the Government of Canada and was subsequently renamed Royal Canadian Mint. In 1914, as the war broke out in Europe, Chancellor of the Exchequer David Lloyd George instructed that the gold coins be removed from circulation, so to help pay for the war effort. The government started to issue £1 and 10 shillings treasury notes as replacements, paving the way for Britain leaving the gold standard in 1931. From 1928, the Irish Free State, later the Republic of Ireland, issued its own coins. These were produced by the Royal Mint until Ireland established its own currency centre in Dublin in 1978. On March 1st, 1966, the government announced plans to decimalise the nation's currency, thereby requiring the withdrawal and reminting of many millions of new coins, and its current state of the Tower Hill and the Mint had suffered from a lack of space for many years, and it would be inadequate to meet the anticipated high demand of a recoinage would entail. Over 20 sites were considered, including suggestions for Ulster and Scotland. However, Wales was chosen. Work on the new mint began in August 1967 with the construction of a blank treatment plant and a plant for striking. The first phase of the mint was formally opened on December 17, 1968 in the presence of Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip and Prince Charles as well. Upon completion, the final cost for the land, building and plant came to £8 million. Coin minting gradually shifted to the new site over the next 7 years, and the last coin gold sovereign was struck in London in November 1975. After moving to Wales, the Mint struggled to be profitable as the Western world fell into a deep recession during the early 70s. To combat a rising national debt, the Mint was established as a trading fund on April 1, 1975, which required it to become self-financing. This measure proved successful and the Mint started to become more profitable through the heavy exports, and in April 1990 the Mint became an executive agency. However, by 2001 the Mint had reported its first annual loss as a result, attributed to only securing 5% of the new euro coin production rather than the projected 20%. Despite this, the Mint began to diversify its product range by offering items outside their usual coin-related merchandise. Around this time, the Mint was selling different types of jewellery, commemorative plates and figurines, eventually creating its own Royal Mint Classic range of collectible goods. This part of the business proved very popular in attracting new customers, but it suffered from the poor production development. Its products included a hip flask with an embedded £2 coin, an Edinburgh crystal clock combined with a Millennium crown, and a Wedgwood plate featuring Britannia. In 2007, the Mint decided to resume its focus on coins, downsizing non-coin related business and discontinuing its classical range. The 2008 global financial crisis was announced and was another financial blow. A rescue package costing $500 billion was announced to help stabilise the British banking system. This led to fear that the government would attempt to finance the cost by selling off state-owned organisations, and in 2009, a pre-budget report by the Chancellor of the Exchequer, Alistair Darling, stated that the Treasury would explore potential benefits of alternative future models for the Royal Mint. A month later, in his 2009 United Kingdom budget, he recommended that the Mint be made a company with a view to being sold. The recommendation was met with outrage by unions and opposition parties in Parliament, who called it the selling off the family silver and said it would result in job losses. In contrast, the Chief Executive of the Mint, Andrew Stafford, welcomed the proposal, saying it would lead to further growth and secure a future of the business. On December 31, 2009, rather than being fully privatised, the Mint ceased to be an executive agency and its assets were vested in a limited company, the Royal Mint Limited. The owner of the new company became the Royal Mint Trading Fund, which itself continued to be owned by HM Treasury. As its sole shareholder, the Mint pays an annual dividend of $4 million to the Treasury, with the remaining profits being reinvested into the Mint. And then back in 2015, Chancellor of the Exchequer George Osborne announced a $20 billion privatisation drive to raise funds, with the Royal Mint being up for sale alongside other institutions including the Met Office and Companies House even. After London was selected to host the 2012 Summer Olympics, the Royal Mint put in a successful bid to manufacture the Games and the Olympic and Paralympic medals. In a total, 4,700 gold, silver and bronze medals were produced by the Mint. Each medal was struck 15 times with 900 tons of force. In April 2014, the Mint announced plans for the development of a visitor centre where members of the public could go on a guided tour of the facility and learn about the Mint's history. Then in 2015, after nearly 50 years, the Mint began producing its own line of bullion bars and coins under its revived Royal Mint Refinery brand. Then, 4 years ago, the Mint announced plans for the Royal Mint Gold (RMG), a digital currency that uses blockchain to trade and invest in gold. Operated by CME Group, the technology is to be created by technology companies Alpha Point and BitGo. The Royal Mint in February 2020 listed its first financial product, the Royal Mint Physical Gold Commodity Exchange Traded Fund ETF. It listed it on the London Stock Exchange. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care in these uncertain times during COVID-19. Please subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss any future notifications. Thanks.